To everyone who's with us today, look, welcome to Cornerstone's IBM Planning Analytics Roadmap session. My name is Chiho Tam, and I'm part of the account management team at Cornerstone. I'd like to thank you for your time to join today's session. With me today, I'd like to introduce Bill Primerano from IBM's Worldwide Planning Analytics team. Bill will share an update on the exciting new updates coming up to IBM Planning Analytics in the near future. Also with us today is Kevin Jessup from IBM Australia's Planning Analytics team. Kevin will take us through a demo of IBM PA today with a look at the latest PA workspace or PAW release. We're conscious some of you are already using this release. Some of you may be on a previous version, while some of you may have yet to move to adopt PAW at this stage. So hopefully you'll see something that you can get excited about as well. Before we go through to the demo, I'd just like to update you on some recent news from Cornerstone. Bill, I might ask you to just advance a couple of slides. You may have received the exciting news Cornerstone has recently announced a merger with another company, Key Consulting. Key Consulting specialize in project management, in project delivery, PMO, and quality assurance. And what this merger brings to you as our clients is it extends Cornerstone's end-to-end project delivery capabilities with a broader set of project resources, including business analysts, change specialists, and PMO leadership. I guess the highlight is the merger doesn't affect what we offer today in terms of domain expertise. It just simply expands our ability to offer clients engagement with additional sort of complementary skills and resources across your programs and projects. What we see the merger is bringing us is a Big Four consulting services capability with a small business personal touch. With that, Bill, I will hand over to you for you to take the participants through the roadmap session.
Perfect. So can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I was playing with my mute and I didn't know if I hit it or not. Okay, so good morning, everybody, and thank you, Chiho, for having me join you today and talk to your user group. So my name is Bill Primerano. I'm the Worldwide Technical Sales Leader for Planning Analytics, as Chiho says, and joining me, like you mentioned, Kevin Jessup from our Australian Planning Analytics practice. So today, I'm going to walk you through kind of what's new and what's next for Planning Analytics, and really a lot of attention on workspace and the user interfaces as I go through what our investment has been. So really, I wanted to start out by just kind of talking about our vision. And this is why we do what we do within the Planning Analytics organization. I mean, we want to enable our clients to have that future-ready business performance. And, you know, as those of you who've been using Planning Analytics all along, you know that it's integrated, it's easy to manage, and it's an extensible planning and analysis application. And really, you can deploy it anywhere. And so as part of our investment, you'll see we've even added some further deployment options. So today, I'm going to be really focusing on these 5 key areas of our investment. So as I go through the presentation, I'll just dive a little bit deeper into really how we are embracing Excel. So you know that we have our deep Excel integration. We're going to continue to enhance that and evolve that. That speed and scale capabilities that I was talking about, and really looking at new deployment options to give a broader set of capabilities and options for the end user. Predictive and smart, bringing that AI component into planning analytics, ease of planning, and then planning and analysis all in one application. So I'm going to cover these, you know, a little bit in depth, and then Kevin is going to go into a demonstration in some of these key areas. So embracing Excel. As most of our planning analytics clients know, we've been taking pride in our, our support and our integration within Excel and our Excel interface. For those of you who've been with us for quite a long time, like I've been using this since the mid-90s, Perspectives was always the go-to for that Excel integration. Now, as we evolve the solution and add that further investment, we're now looking at integrating with Excel and planning analytics for Excel and taking further and further leaps in that user experience. So what you see on the screen here is really, we're going to be focusing and have focused more on improving our solution that gives that end user additional capabilities. So we've expanded the capabilities in our set editor in early to mid 2020 and enhanced it even further, where we focused on the performance and ease of use, the ability to improve the user's understanding of how the set is created and applied. So as you see here, what's going on the screen, I can do those searches. And now I can create a group that maybe filters on attributes of a product. So in this case, I'm looking at my car products. And now I can take those and bring just that specific list in to create that set. I can look at the MDX behind it if that was where I wanted to go, but I have that capability at my fingertips now. I don't need to learn how to write the code. I just want to be able to get my information fast and get to my analytics. So all of these now are enhancements that you'll be able to see and leverage, not just within the Excel environment with our subset editor, but even having that exact same subset editor when you're looking at your workspace. So we want to have that consistent look and feel no matter what user interface you go to. So I talked a little bit earlier about different deployment options and speed and scale. So the latest new thing for IBM is Cloud Pak for Data. Cloud Pak for Data is really an investment in a modern containerized system that is built for the future. You're going to be able to save time with easy installation, maintenance, upgrades. It grows with your business. You can instantly add more resources as needed. And so that enables you to have new services quickly using the power of an integrated data and AI platform at your fingertips. So for those of you who decide to move to Cloud Pak, you can deploy EA, as you see on the screen here. I'm going through the process of provisioning an instance. And really, it's simply, you navigate to the Cloud Pak homepage. You go through and you search for Planning Analytics, and then you select it and provision it. And that's as easy as it gets to now spin up a new TM1 server for your deployment. It's simple, it's easy to use, and it has integration with our other services such as Watson Studio for data science integration, decision optimization, SPSS for predictive. All of those components are now being interconnected all in one area. So again, it's that high availability containerized deployment option for planning analytics. So predictive and smart. And I talked a little bit about bringing that Watson Studio, that data science capability, and integrate that with your planning analytics. Well, also embedded into the planning analytics workspace, we brought in and introduced new forecasting capabilities. So we have here on the screen the ability to leverage the embedded AI algorithmic forecasting. So what you're looking at here is based on time series forecast. It's leveraging algorithms, hence the name algorithmic forecasting, where it focuses on exponential smoothing. So there's roughly 7 algorithms that are running behind the scenes, and the solution is going to apply which one is the best fit. So it's going to detect things like seasonality in your data. And as you see on the screen, it'll give that strength for the seasonality, the trends. And then the forecast, it can be applied at different levels. So whether you want it at the consolidated level, at the total parent level, or down at a leaf level, you have that capability in your hand to drive those long-range plans and those rolling forecasts. And so far, we've gotten a lot of great feedback on this, and it's definitely an area that we're focused on expanding in the coming releases. And so some of the things that we've done to enhance this is, you see this preview screen here, it's going to tell you what that trend will look like, and then it gives you some of these statistics. Well, one of the things that we're doing now in this most recent version, I think it came out a couple months ago, was the ability to really include some of the historical data, or include even further historical data into your exploration, So you can go beyond what's just in the view that we were looking at. You can go back into history without having it be in the view. The other part of that is when we looked at that forecast, that predictive stats panel that we were just on before, we're updating it. So what you see on the screen now is giving you really more information about the different algorithms that are being run. What is the statistical model, the seasonality components, the trend strength, all of that is now going to be included. So you're getting a better understanding of what's really going on behind the scenes and under the covers. So you don't have to be the data scientist to understand it or run it. But if you were ever asked, well, what algorithm, what was chosen as the best fit, you can immediately point to this screen and say, oh, well, here's the information you're looking for. Some of the other things that I mentioned earlier about ignoring time periods, well, when I go in and set up that predictive forecast, there's another panel in here where I can go in and set my different parameters, but I can go in and choose to exclude certain months. Maybe there were trends that I didn't want, they were outliers in the process, or I knew that they were something that maybe I was ramping up sales or loading in a new warehouse, or I had a one-time event that I wanted to exclude out of my process. So I can go in right here and select that and remove those items. So ease of planning, okay? And what do we mean by ease of planning? Well, really it's all about getting to that new welcome screen, that landing page in our workspace. We want to have that new experience, that welcoming experience for the end user. And it's got clear calls to action. The buttons here take you right to where you need to go. It's contextual to the user. So as Kevin goes into his demonstration, you'll see what his welcome screen looks like and where he has those quick launches into his plans or reports that gives you the ability to get right to where you need to be, and you don't have to hunt around or find where did somebody save that report. So you're able to go in and save those into your favorites. You can have your list of reports. You can even see the most used. All of those are going to be available from your welcome screen here in this reports and analysis. And then, as like I said, you need to go through your planning process. It's all going to be right there at your fingertips. Okay, so guided planning. So I mentioned the planning process. We now are bringing that workflow capability into the planning analytics workspace area so that it's a new guided planning experience where the planning manager can create the planning process. It can be multiple steps and stages. It can have submissions, as you see here, adding in what's going on within the process. So what is the process step? What assets are going to be assigned to those process steps? Then who needs to be working on those assets? So you can assign the different assets in the work streams to groups. And then if you have a submission requirement, you can then go in and put the timing of that. And so now you can start tracking and managing the percentage of completion. So really the contributors can perform their steps as required. The planning manager can then understand, well, where is the team in their planning process? So it's all about taking the tasks and associating that to the users in a very easy and friendly environment, and it gets them through their day faster. They don't have to open up multiple books or go into multiple Excel files. It brings everything together in one place. And as you've noticed, while it was creating it, it can be more than just the views that you have on the screen. You can also bring in your web sheet. So you have that integration of Excel with the planning analytics views into the process. You can go in, do your work, submit the information, and even put in commentary as needed. So planning and analysis all in one application. It's really where Workspace becomes that place for the planning and analysis users. So many users are used to the product sporadically, guiding the users into the right place, or getting that call to action. Again, we want to enhance the user's experience here and have those customized dashboards. And taking that one step further, we now enhanced really the new visualization. So we brought in a new visualization engine from our Cognitive Analytics Business Intelligence solution. This is going to enable an entirely new series of visualizations for that workspace user. If you want waterfall charts, well, now that's supported. If you wanted bullet charts or maybe some of the other charts that you see right here along the screen, you can have that. We have further enhancements coming out in, I think actually in the next release, if it hasn't come out already, where you can now start to nest dimensions in here to build up your visualizations. So if you're looking to maybe bring in product by route to market, well, you can have those side by side and start to visualize those on the same plane within that chart. Okay, so those are some of the ways where we're taking that visualization engine to the next level. So some of the other things that we've done, for those of you who are worked within action buttons or run processes, you know how when you run that process, you want to be able to have your parameters in place. So that way, you know, and pass through, if you're copying a forecast from one version to the next, you have parameters that you want to fill in or pass those from one set of data to the other. And now you can synchronize those parameters. So if you have a view on your screen that already has a definition to it, well, when you click that button to export that view, boom, now it's done. You can synchronize those on your product dimension to only take that specific product or only that specific version that is being shown. So you have those parameters syncing up to what's set up in here. And really around that enhancements going to the data side of things, the database side, if you're an administrator, you know, and you're looking at, say, the SaaS environment, in the past, you had to put in a ticket to our IT or our cloud help desk to add a new data server. Well, now that's all at your fingertips. You have self-service create and deleting of TM1 databases. Now, you know, if you're deleting a database, you got to be careful because then it's no longer going to be available. So make sure you have the backup. But as an administrator, you have that capability now to do that and not have to wait for your ticket to be generated and run. Creating that new database on the fly makes you more productive. It gets you that speed to information, and you can really create that, you know, that template right away. You just go in here where it says add on the screen on well, my left, your right. You go and add that database. You give it a name. When you hit create, it goes through and creates everything that you need from the configuration files to the initial setup, all the folders, everything are ready to go for you. So then you can start working immediately in that process. So talk about rapid prototype. This is where we are right now with getting you faster to that rapid prototyping. So these are all things that are, whether they're in the version that you have today, or if when you upgrade, they're in the versions that are available to you. And again, some of these are things that Kevin is going to be able to show you. Maybe not this setting up the database, but definitely some of the things around the AI and the dashboard and the visualizations. But now this is what's new in planning analytics. And I want to talk to you just briefly about, well, what's next? So we have the typical legal disclaimer. You have to put that in here to acknowledge that the materials and the discussion presented should not influence any purchasing decision. Really, I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about our future investment anyway. You're not going to be able to see any kind of mock-ups or new product information in here, but I just wanted to give you that upfront that anything I do mention that's in our short-term or long-term process, it's a target. I don't work in product management or product development. So really anything I say, I could tell you it's going to be out tomorrow, but I don't influence that anyway. So when we talk about our future investment, I'm going to break it down into short-term and midterm. So on that predictive and smart, and in the short term, bringing in those meaningful statistical details, as you saw on the screen earlier. That currently those details are technical, makes sense to some of those users who are knowledgeable about statistics. Well, we want to do more to make that statistical detail page easier and more explainable. So adding in those ignoring current time periods and adding in those statistical details that are now just coming into the the different versions, whether it's the one that's coming out in 2 weeks, I'm not sure. But that's, again, it's on the short-term plane. We've beta tested it, it's ready to go. Some of these, we've already started bringing some of that capability, like the ability to ignore time period, it's already in there. So relative proportional spreading of the forecast. This is something that we want to bring in to where the user is going to be able to spread a forecast or a consolidated item based on a previous time period. And today you have those right clicks and the different spread methods, but they have to be at certain levels. Well, we're enhancing that. The action buttons to call a Watson Studio and decision optimization deployed model is something that a lot of our customers have been asking for with that integration with data science. Well, we want to be able to consume that TM1 data and other data and push that into the models, have it go through, run their process, whether it's a predictive, prescriptive analytics, and then push those results back into TM1. All of those, I have been told, are on our short-term list of deployed ideas for predictive and smart. There's some midterm ones about scripts and scheduling of baseline forecasts. So being able to copy data over to do a starting point of your forecast as a baseline. Those are things that they're already iterating through. So they deem that as more of a midterm. So I'm not sure exactly when those will be coming out. But then when I talk about and think about improved interactivity and control, synchronization, where we're going to be able to limit the sets that an end user can work with in the viewer. Excuse me. Not every user is going to need or be able to see all the public subsets. So you want to be able to go in and limit some of that to pare down some of the extra noise and give them a very focused list of subsets that they need. Being able to synchronize the cube viewer on expand, collapse, keep, drill, all of those are going to be able to limit the synchronization scope to get those specific widgets into the book. And then the last thing on here in that short-term improved is really that workbook, the action and the navigation buttons, where we're going to be able to pass only the specific dimension context through. Hard code that synchronization and the parameters, a little bit like I talked about earlier, and really return a success or a fail message from the PI process. So today when you run a process, you would normally get that box that pops up and says, woohoo, yes, look, everything went great. Well, in Workspace, that's kind of really small. And so they're enhancing that so that you're going to get that return message come up bigger. And then being able to synchronize the subset names into the parameters to take that to the next level. So really, those are some of the different investments that we're making around the architectural transformation, that predictive and smart, making planning easier. So with that, I want to turn the microphone over to Kevin so he can show you some of the really cool things that I discussed in the what's new in planning analytics. He's going to be able to show you that live and in action. So Kevin, take it away.
Thanks, Bill. All right, so in the next 15 to 20 minutes, I'm just going to run through a quick demo at a very high level, just to get so you can see the different capabilities of the solution. If you want a deeper dive a bit later on, please reach out to Cornerstone and IBM, and we can set that up. So my demo today is going to be very much a feature benefit demo. So I'm just going to highlight some of the key capabilities and some of the stuff that Bill was talking about. So on the screen at the moment, we have the landing page that Bill was talking about. So we have a nice welcome message at the top. We got you can watch a video so the users can get familiar with the solution. But it does take up a lot of real estate. So what you can do is hide that. So when you come in next time, you don't always see that welcome message. So you can start cleaning up the screen Below that, Bill was talking about the different little quick launch buttons that will take you around the application. So here I can go to my applications and plans, reports and analysis. And depending on your security role, you may see these two buttons. So data and models is where I can build and tweak my models, and administration, I can add users and stop and start services and so forth. And again, you can minimize that. Below there is what we call your, excuse me, your applications. So these are applications that are being assigned to you based on your security profile. So the user can log in and immediately see what they need, which applications they should be using. And then you can also, we got recents and favorites as well, just to make it easier for the users to find the applications that they need to use to do their daily tasks. So today I'm going to take you through a few of these applications, just to give you a bit of a taste of what the platform can do. So what we're going to look at first is this planning application. So I'm just going to launch this. So this is going to take us through that guided planning process that Bill was talking about. So let me just minimize this on the left. So at the top here, we've got the name of the application. You can put some description around what the application does. Below that, we have what we call announcements. So the budget administrator can make announcements so that the users are aware of different changes that may be happening to this application. So here we've got a message that says, you know, we've added some new products, so you can start forecasting for it, and then you can view all the comments and the dates that they were, when the announcements were made. And then down below that, we have effectively the different steps that users need to complete. We've got some due dates. And if I expand into those steps, it will have either one or many assets that the users need to update that particular step, which in this case is update revenue. And then once they're finished, they can submit that, and they can put some commentary and go, we've updated our revenue in line with inflation, or, you know, based on demand, or whatever it may be as well. So they can put some commentary about that particular submission. And they can do that at each one of these different steps. So what we're going to look at first is going to update our revenue plan. So I'm just going to minimize this task and start looking at the application itself. So traditionally, budget and forecasting is 90% data entry and 10% analysis. And what we're trying to do at IBM is flip that on its head. What we want to see is 10% data entry and 90% analysis, so users can make better decisions rather than blindly going through a series of tabs and updating their budgets. We want them to, you know, start analyzing the information and making sure their plans are more accurate moving forward. So the first screen we land on is all about scorecards and metrics, and how is the organization currently trending before they start updating their plan. So here I've got a summarized P&L view. The users can drill down on the different areas and see, you know, my total operating expenses and so forth. I've got my actuals and my budget. I've got my variance percent, my status. So how do my actuals and budgets compare? Is it trending up, trending down? I don't want to get to the end of the budget period and we're massively over budget. Below there, we've got a number of different visualizations that help the users get a sense of where things are heading within the organization. So this first visualization here is what we call our network diagram. I'll just expand it for you. So what we've got here, the light blue dots in my different regions. These could be products, cost centers, whatever it may be. And in the middle here, I've got my chart of accounts. So I can start seeing where my expenses and revenue are coming from within my organization. The darker the gray line, the more of, in this case, we're looking at gross revenue is coming from those particular regions. On the right here, we've got charting coming through, so users can quickly zoom in and move around and look at different countries and go down to a state level. So here we're looking at total sales at France, and I can click on Italy and Norway and so forth. So it's very easy to use, very interactive, drag and drop. So what we're going to do now is update our plan. So I'm going to jump through to my revenue tab, where we can start updating our revenue numbers. So across the top, I can filter this information. So at the moment, we're looking at what we call total products, but I can look at different product categories or individual products. Or you could have as a slider bar, so to filter on the information. So the user can just move the slider bar across and see how each of the different regions are performing. We do have a little play button here, just it will just cycle through each of the regions, and we can see what our revenue numbers look like for each of the regions. The reason we like to play it is so you can see the performance. So this is currently what we're looking at here is our SaaS offering. This one's actually hosted out of APEC 2, which is in Singapore. and I'm sitting in Sydney, so you can see the performance is pretty good over wide area networks. So what I'm going to do is pause that. We're going to update Florida. And what I want to do is create what I call a sandbox. So a sandbox is a personalized scenario where I can make some assumptions, some changes, but it doesn't impact the main model. So no one can see those changes. It's just only I can see it. And then when I'm happy with those assumptions, I can write them back to the official forecast or budget version. So to create a sandbox, you just come to the top here, you click on this little spade icon, and then you can go in here and create a sandbox. I'm going to call it Kev and go and create. So now in my own little scenario at the moment called Kev, and I can make some updates now. So what I want to do is I want to increase November 10% proportionally to my 3 different channels. So I've got retail, internet, and distribution, and I'm at a total product level here as well. So I've got about 100 products sitting under this hierarchy. So what the user can do is come up here and put a total channel, just type in INC 10%. That's going to update 300 cells in Singapore, calculate it and bring it back. And it will do that in less than a second. So not only are the reads being optimized, but the write back has been optimized. And that's where we're trying to get back that 10% data entry. So, they're not, users aren't updating each individual cell. We can do it at a high level. We can also do things like hold. So I'm going to hold retail. So during COVID-19, and especially Sydney this week, because we've got to wear masks at shops. No, people are going to avoid the shops this particular week. They're going to focus, they're going to spend their money on the internet and through our distribution channels. So I can hold retail and come up to the top here and say, I want to make it 7K at the top. It will hold retail and put it to these 2 different channels here. So it's not an all or nothing thing. I can actually pick where I want to apply these changes to as well. You'll notice as I'm making these changes down below, we're getting real-time feedback on those changes. And we didn't just add the visualizations to make it look pretty. There's a lot of value in actually reading your forecasts as a visualization. So you can immediately see there's an outlier in January based on those numbers, in November, based on those changes we made up there. And then we got a massive outlier in January. That may be due to seasonality, or it may be a mistake that the user made, but it's very easy for the users to quickly see that rather than reading the numbers at the top. If the user has made a mistake, they can back out those changes by just hitting the rollback button at the top here and roll those changes back out again. All right, I'm just going to release this hold. So a few shortcut keys that we've added to help the user update their plans. Let's say for March, for distribution, they wanted to make it 250 for the remainder of the year. They could just do 250 to the right, and it'll go and update 10 months down to 100 cells. So there it's just updated around about 1,000 cells. And the other thing we noticed is that people would get out a calculator or a spreadsheet to work out the value to put back into Planning Analytics. So what we allow users to do is use formulas to update these cells. So for example, in February, I want to sell 20 units for every day in February. So I'm going to type in, oops, what's going on here? 20 times 28, so 28 days in February. And the result of that calculation will get written back to that cell, just trying to make it a little bit easier for the users. And then we get a bit more sophisticated and go, actually, I want to start in January at 110 and I want to grow by 10% per month. So they can use this particular shortcut and then just hit enter, and it will start at 110 and then grow by 10% per month. So there's a number of these shortcut keys within the platform to help the users update their forecast very, very quickly. And as I make all these changes, if I jump back to my scorecards and metrics, we can see that all my budget numbers are updating based on those changes I've just made. All right, so what we're going to look at now is another application. What we're going to look at here is a campaign planning. I'm going to take you through this application, and what we're going to do is extend it and show you a bit of the self-service capabilities within the platform. So this particular application is designed for marketing and sales managers to create marketing campaigns and play around with the expected sales uplift. So it's a very simple application, but highlights some of the benefits of the platform. The other reason we like to show this one is you can to show you how you can skin the application. So you can put wallpaper in here, your logos and so forth, set the transparency. The sad reality is the better the application looks, the better the user adoption is going to be. Obviously, it's got to be, meet the business requirements and it's got to perform well. But if it looks nice, people are going to want to use it more. So let me quickly run you through this application. So on the promotion planning tab, this is where the users can come in and create multiple different promotions they can come in here and they can put some commentary around that promotion. So this is a general promotion on all L series. This is a car manufacturer. So we're not just tracking numeric values. You can put some commentary and narrative about what it is that you're trying to do. And then we can pick a product or a product category that we're going to run this marketing campaign for. And then we can pick a start and end date of this campaign. And that's when we expect an uplift in sales. And let's say it's going to be a nationwide, high budget TV ad, and I expect a 90% uplift in sales. I can go in there and start playing around with the what if. And then on the right here, I can start tracking the campaign effectiveness. So the gray bars are my actual sales. The pink line is the expected sales uplift. I'll expand this out so you can see it a bit better. So you can see in April, we missed the mark, but in October, we did really well. So we should drill down on October and see which campaigns we ran in that particular period and see if we can replicate that moving forward. You can also have heat maps. So the bigger the rectangle, the more of the product we sold. We've got a bar chart here showing the percentage for each of the different categories. And if I jump to the reporting tab to show you some different reporting styles. So here I've got a top 10 selling products per region. So you can see the L series 2 liter and the 2.5 liter are the top selling for Belgium. We've got waterfall charts. It's probably one of the most requested waterfall charts that we've been asked for. Packed bubble charts. So the bigger the bubble, the more the product we sold, or radio dial charts at the bottom. And then the user can just play through here and see how each of the products or what products are selling well in what regions and so forth. So I'm going to pause that, and we're going to now look at a bit of the self-service capabilities. It's almost impossible to create a report and a dashboard that's going to meet everyone's requirements. So the abilities of users to modify these applications or create their own ones is very important to meet their particular needs. So as a user, you can come up here and go into edit mode. So every user in Planalytics can do this. But they can't overwrite the base application. They can save it to their personal folder, which is sitting under here, but they can't overwrite the original application. Only the administrator can do that. So I'm in edit mode. I'm going to add a new tab. We give you a number of different templates to help you, lay out your screens. I'm going to use this one. The first one here is freeform, so I can put the widgets wherever I want on the screen, or we can pick one of these fixed templates as well. So I'm going to go create. So what you have the ability to do as well is the user can pin these different widgets so they can reuse it later on. So if I go and click up here on the pin icon, it adds it to our pin section. So it makes it easier for the users to find the widgets that they've pinned previously. So if I go back to my new tab here and go to the pin section here on the left, you'll see all the different widgets I pinned. So that was the waterfall chart I just pinned a few seconds ago. I pinned the line chart over there. But what I want to look at is my sales view. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to load it onto the dashboard on the right. So now I've got my sales view. In here, the user can slice and dice. I want my regions down the side. I can see how my different regions are performing. You can drill down into the individual countries. User can do things like on-the-fly calculations. So if you highlight multiple columns or rows, the user can go in here and create, an average calculation, the maximum, minimum, median, aggregate, plus, minus, times, divide. So lightweight calculations that your users tend to do in Excel, they can save in this view, and every time they open this view, it will redo that calculation for them. If you right-click on the heading itself, we can sort ascending, descending. We can create top and bottom filters. So that's how I got the top 10 selling products per region. And we can do things like conditional formatting as well. So if I click on the edit button here, I can change the background color of the cell, the border color, the font color or font style, or we can put some shapes in there to indicate if it's good, average, or bad. Come out of that. If you click on the cell itself, earlier I showed us writing a comment in a cell about the marketing campaign. We can also comment on a value within a cell as well. So if I right click on this Denmark 19 mil, I can go in here and write a comment on that one. So I can go and add a comment and go hello, and then post that. So it will track the comment. the value I commented on, and then it will I got the person that made that comment and a time date or timestamp of when that comment was made, because I can have a running commentary as I update this value. So I can go in here and add another comment as well and go by, and then we can start tracking the commentary and why the values are changing. It could be, you know, in line with inflation or CPI indexes or whatever it may be. When I close that down, you'll see there'll be a little blue triangle indicating there's a comment sitting behind that cell. Now another, so it's very similar to the Excel cell annotation feature, except they have a red triangle. The other feature I think that was inspired by Excel was the F2 feature. So in Excel, if you highlight a cell and press F2, it'll tell you the calculation that makes up that cell. And we can do the same thing in here as well. So we've got that 19 million for Denmark. I can right click on that and go and trace that value and see what makes up that 19 million. So you can see that we're budgeting on selling this L series 1.6 L sedan, 2.8 million. It's based on a business rule that says sales equals price times units. I can drill down on that and I can see the unit price for that particular vehicle is 15K, and we're budgeting on selling 190 units. And that's how we're getting to that 2.85 million up there. So it gives the users a bit more confidence in the values that they're reporting on, rather than just blindly trusting that 19 mil. They can go back and trace and look at the exact business rules that calculated that for them. All right, so, and then if I wanted to change this into a visualization, you just come up to the top and click on this icon, and then I get presented all the visualizations that are available to the user. And let's say I want to make it into a column chart, and it will just turn it into a chart for me. So it's very easy to use, no coding, all click and drag and drop, nothing's more than 2 clicks away, and so forth. All right, so what we're going to look at now is the AI forecasting component that Bill was speaking about earlier. So let me just launch this application. So this is following on from that theme of getting to that 10% data entry. So in the past, you could do things like zero-based budgeting. So, you know, the budgets are empty and the users have to go update them. Or you could take last year's actuals and increase it by 10%, and so forth. What we can do now is use the historical trends to forecast what most likely will happen in the future. So here I've got a simple view. I've got a number of members. I've got data going back to 91, all the way up to 2013. And what I want to do is start forecasting out from 2014 onwards based on what happened in the past. So what the user can do is either highlight one or multiple members and click on this new icon at the top here called forecast, and it will bring up that forecasting wizard that Bill was talking about. So I can tell it when I want to start forecasting from and when I want it to end. And then you can also add the statistical details, what algorithm was used to produce these numbers, as a comment in that cell. So the user knows that it was calculated based on a predictive algorithm rather than, you know, it was inputted by a user and so forth. Let me just minimize this guy here. And if I click on the, where's my advanced tab gone? Oh, there we go, up here. On the advanced tab, we can get a bit more prescriptive about order to detect the seasonality. What historical data do you want to use? So use historical data in exploration is talking about this view on the left, or it could use all the data within the cube as well. And then down below here, I can tell it where I want to put this predictive version, into which version do I want to put it in. So in this case, it's going to put it against forecast, but it could be a version we call predictive. And then below there, we got forecast high and forecast low. They're saving my upper and lower bands, so it will show the user the confidence level. And then the user can also select on the bottom here the preview. And so what's happening behind the scenes is that Planning Analytics runs through 9 different models and fits the most accurate model based on the historical data, and then forecast the numbers out. So in the visualization here, you can see the solid line is my actuals, the dashed line is my predicted numbers, and in the shaded area is my confidence level. And then I can click on the statistical details and start going through these different parameters. And I'm not going to pretend to know what these parameters are, but if you've got data science people within your organization, they love to look at these things like MAPI and so forth. And then they can see which models are being used and so forth. If you want to get a bit more information around exactly what predictive algorithms is being used and so forth, if you click on the Learn More button, there's some detailed information in here of what each of these different parameters are. The one I like the most is it shows you the 9 different models that it's selecting. So to give you a bit of sense of what's being applied to your data and so forth. But there's a lot of information behind here about how exactly these predictive algorithms are working. All right, let's come out of that. All right, oops, actually didn't want to come out all of it. So let's go and run that forecast. Let me go back to here and just run that forecast, and we'll go and put those numbers in for us. So again, it's running through all, that's not exactly what I wanted to see. Let me just do one. It's forecast 1. I think it might be. All right, cool. All right. So what it will go and do, so we're looking at actuals at the moment. Let me go and select my forecast, and that's where it's going to put that forecast version. I actually did it all. And so you can see there, it's put a little blue triangle in there to indicate there's a comment. So I'll quickly show you what that looks like. So it'll put all the statistical information about the model that was used. The accuracy was high, the seasonality was strong, there was no trend detected, and so forth. So the user knows that information was calculated using a predictive algorithm rather than it was last year's actuals and so forth. And I think if I refresh this chart here quickly, and it will update my chart as well. And let me just make this a bit bigger. Here we go. So in my chart, I can click on the different my members and so forth. And then if I click over here, oh, why is it not showing my shaded areas? But you can see that the dashed line here is the predicted numbers. So this one here is giving me a very good prediction because of the seasonality, and the trending is what's quite good. But in member 4, you can see there's effectively what we call noise. There's no real particular trend or seasonality that can be detected in the data. It's very much up and down, so the confidence levels will be a lot lower. So this is where, so this is additional functionality that we're adding to the platform to make it easier for the users to get to get their numbers into the system a lot quicker, and producing quicker and more accurate forecasts moving forward. So with that, we've got a few minutes left. I'm going to hand back to Chiho. I think we're going to take some questions. So it's over to you, Chiho.
Thanks, Kevin. So guys, look, I hope you enjoyed the session from Bill and Kevin. We don't have a lot of time for questions, but if you do have a couple of quick questions, feel free to pose them in the chat window or unmute yourself and ask them now. The other thing that we can do is feel free to write to us with a list of questions that you may have. We're happy to forward that to the team and distribute some of those answers back. You can let us know whether you want those to be shared amongst all participants, or whether that's a sort of a private or confidential question that you'd like to check in with Cornerstone and the IBM team. Kevin, just checking, were there any questions that had come through on the chat window?
Yes, there is. There's one from Irene. Is historical data, company data generally what is used in forecasting tool? What about external factors? So so the historical data is generally going to come from the customer themselves. So they'll have all the historical data that we'll load into the platform. Generally, I think the rule of thumb is we want at least 36 time periods to produce an accurate forecast. And there's a question about external factors such as economic factors. Yes, the more we can add to the model will influence it dramatically as well. So it's one of the reasons that we bought the weather weather company is for that data as well. So if we can load in the weather data and start looking at, based on if it's a warm day, these products sell well or don't sell well and so forth. So the more external factors that we can bring in, and that's why you'll see through this year and into the future and the roadmap that Bill was talking about, integrating the solution into what we call our Watson tools. So Watson machine learning and so forth is going to influence or produce better results in these forecasting algorithms moving forward.
Great, thanks, Kevin. I think we've had a couple of other questions I think I've seen come through from Gavin and Emma.
Yep. So Emma's one, where do you create the announcements for the application? So let me quickly show that. Let me share my screen again. So if I go back, so it's in the let me go back to my applications and plans. So it's in this is where the applications are created. So if I go into my planning application, so this is where the budget administrator will come in and create these plans, set up the different steps and so forth. But on the announcements page here, or tab here, they can go in here and go and create a new announcement. You could put in a new currency exchange rate as being loaded or something. Being loaded. Done. So when if I go back to here and let me just see if it's still open, let me close it down. And that one there. All right. And if I launch this application up again, hopefully I'll have a new announcement sitting on the left here. So yeah, so you can see the new announcement there. If I want to see, scroll to the old ones, or if I want to see them all, I just click on the view all button. You can see those announcements coming through. Cool. So what was the other question? Oops.
I have some questions that we don't have for everybody, but Gavin asked about if we have any information to changes on to how PAX is installed. As of right now, so Planning Analytics for Excel or PAX or PAFA is client side. So really that would be on the user's device. I'm not sure that they are not having that installed on the client anymore. I'll have to check into that, but typically Excel is a client side. Kevin, have you heard anything?
Yeah, I believe we're working on a new way of deploying Planning Analytics for Excel. It's on the roadmap, but I haven't seen details around it. So we're going to have to come back to you on that one. But they're looking at streamlining that process of actually installing it to make it a lot easier and updating the PAX clients. Similar to, I think, what we call in the past called a silent install. But it'd be more from rather than using the Microsoft Silent Install, it'll be out the box from PAX, and you can deploy it a lot easier.
Yeah, I did hear something about a one-click install, but that still would be on their device. So I'll have to check if they're talking about no longer installing it to the client. And then changes to handle security via Planning Analytics Administration. So Emma, there are some enhancements. I did not have that in the roadmap. I just got a little bit of information about it today that there are some enhancements that they're doing to the administration around integrating that Planning Analytics workspace security with the model security, especially now that you can create the model right through the workspace environment. So I don't unfortunately have any details on that, but as those become unfolded, I will be able to provide that update, and I'll make sure I send that over to Chiho and team.
I think we're coming up to 11:30 Sydney time, so I'm conscious of everyone's time. Certainly, if the team have or if any of the participants have further questions, please feel free to email that across to us at Cornerstone, and we will share that with Kevin and Bill and get back to you with an answer. Just to wrap up, Bill, if you could just cut back to the slide deck, probably go to page 7 and then page 8. Yeah, look, what we wanted to share with you certainly is that, you know, what we hope you've seen is that planning analytics has, you know, some terrific out-of-the-box capabilities, and there's more and more being added all the time. You know, within Cornerstone, we've worked with many of you on some sort of finance cubes or finance models, but it's also a reminder that the true value of planning analytics is when you use that for planning and forecasting across the business. So you're really getting to that integrated business planning. We work with, you know, many of you on areas like workforce planning or headcount planning. Maybe there's some supply chain planning or demand forecasting, revenue planning. We've also got specific industry solutions where we've built things like circulation planning or subscription planning or drill site models, network traffic. So really the sky's the limit. What we'd encourage you to do is to reach out to us. Maybe it's been a while since you've reviewed your models. Business has changed, so please, you know, reach out to us. We'd be happy to have a conversation with you, as well as talk to you about upgrading to the latest versions of planning analytics. Look, it's just a reminder to say, you know, we Cornerstone certainly value you as our clients, and we hope you found today's roadmap session useful. Please do let us know if there's any questions or you'd like to talk further with us about new models or new capabilities and how we can help you. With that, thank you for your time. Thank you to Bill and to Kevin, and we'll wrap up today's session. We will have we have recorded this session, so we'll look to send a copy of the recording to participants. With that, thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day. Stay well and stay safe. Cheers. Bye.